When you think about the Antonio Gates debacle, the black veteran in Ingram, why is this becoming the norm now? Do you think no fault divorce plays a role? When you think about Antonio Gates and his own debacle, why is this becoming the norm now? You know, many guys are becoming victims of no fault divorce. Why is that the norm in your opinion? Why is this becoming the norm now? You know, many guys are becoming victims of no. Go ahead.
Yeah, this and the way the system is set up, um, it's well, the way the system is set up, it sets up a man to get set up. If you enter into a relationship and all of a sudden the lady decides she wants to go south with it and just like, whatever. I mean, it's so easy for what they call it now. And you can be married to a woman and you're making love to her and she can turn around and go, he violated me. And I want to see justice come ring. And just because she is going off of, look, I lost a son through a woman who was bent on ego. And I said, you're going to sacrifice my kid because of your ego. And yeah, she was willing to do it and she did it. And so, it doesn't make me bitter, but I'd say it makes me better. It made me better choosing and picking a woman that I consider a woman. Back then, when I was messing around, I had my son, bless his heart, and hope he catches up with me someday. I won't ever go into that. And I want you young men to notice this, okay? If you're going to do that and you get promiscuous, strap on. Don't go sacrificing another life because you weren't raised right. I wasn't raised right, but I know as a man and now that in order to get a quality woman, young brothers under 30 years old, and you're looking at a woman, ask that woman, is she ready to have a family? What kind of woman she's going to be? And that tells you how that woman treats you as a man, how she's going to treat your kids, right? And if she's talking down to you and berating you, what do you think is going to happen to your kids? And what we're going to do is perpetuate a cycle of madness that's been going on for too many generations. So wake up, young brothers, carry yourself right, pull those pants up over your backside, put on some nice cologne and trim yourself up and make a woman understand that she's messing with a man, not a boy. Okay? So that's my for my young man out there.
Right. Ingram, go ahead and answer this Antonio Gates debacle, man, and what's going on with so many men becoming victims like Antonio Gates.
Well, the biggest thing is it goes back to the situation where there's no accountability in terms on the women's end because two people is a relationship. You add the government, you have a third, you have a threesome. But the reality of it is when the system itself incentivizes women to cash their checks and get out, and there's no traditional culture in place, grandmom or like traditional cultures, you go some places in this world, divorce is considered a complete catastrophe, a shame, a failure to the family. And the old ma that's sitting on the couch, she resents, she'll hold you accountable. Father, mother, a family will hold that woman accountable. And that's who she confides in when there's stress in the marriage or when there's issues. Today's marriages now, everybody cheers on women, even ratchet women. You see them running here like a bunch of pack of hyenas to defend ratchet women. Right. I'm talking about women that are supposed to be honorable women will defend ratchet women. So there's no accountability at all for the women's side. And when she's getting out of that marriage with you, she has not only that, you have social media in your marriage, you got the DMs in your marriage, you got people living their life on social media. They've got all kinds of influences now that are incentivize women, encourage them, support them, and it's nothing supporting men. Even men sometimes they get into this simple thing where they're going with the women because they're trying to get laid. They're trying to get laid themselves. So they're not going to say anything to criticize women or make women think that they're against them. So it's a whole negative situation when you bring the government into it and you get into these marriages. You're depending on the benevolence of a woman in this country. I hope that she doesn't screw you because there's no tradition, there's no culture, there's no society. There's nothing that's backing you up legally, morally, or anything. You're depending on her character.
I totally agree with you. And for this woman to say irreconcilable differences is crazy to me. As church girl, what's your take on the demise of so many relationships now? So many relationships are faltering. And what's your take on the demise of so many relationships? Because Antonio Gates, he's an ex-football player. for the NFL. His wife decided to divorce him for irreconcilable differences. What's your take on why marriages are not lasting like they did maybe your grandmother, your great-grandma, in your opinion?
Man, speaking of that, my grandmother and grandfather were married for 54 years, and she died several years before him. And I remember her telling me one time, she said, you know what? I wish I had stayed single, but she stayed in that marriage for 54 years. So she's at some point decided that that was the best option for her. Like, she knew, not necessarily the best option, but she knew that as a woman, she had to stay married, because even though her kids were grown at the time when she told me that, she stuck to her vows. She said, I'm going to abide by these vows that I took, no matter what, come hell or high water. Nowadays, people bail out because I'm leaving my marriage because my husband didn't wear his red shorts today. Or
Right.
I'm leaving my marriage because I don't feel like being married anymore. I don't feel like this is working out. I don't feel. So
Right.
every time you don't feel something, you want to bail out. You want to say, F this marriage, I'm out.
And why is it so important, in your opinion, for women to maintain? So in my mind, ex-church girl, I don't think a woman can really love a man until she can, control her feelings. Do you feel like, or do you know that women actually had that quality back in the past where they were disciplined enough to control their feelings for the benefit of the family and the community? Because you're right, no-fault divorce has destroyed a lot of marriages. What's your take on women controlling their feelings? Because if a woman can control her feelings, in my mind, that means she loves a man. But go ahead, sis.
Yeah, because if you're able to control your feelings, okay, women we're we're flaky sometimes. Sometimes the sky is too bright for us. It's too blue, it's too white. The clouds are too white. It's like, if you go by your feelings, you'll never stay in anything. And that's what men are talking about. When women start saying, I feel, then you're going on some flakiness. You're going on some flaky crust type of stuff. And it's not going to work. You've got to maintain some type of discipline. And again, it comes back to accountability. Women don't want to be accountable I'm going to put myself in that. We don't want to be accountable for our actions. We want to say, every bad relationship I ever had is his fault. It's his fault. And it's his fault. But when you go through counseling and really dig down, you're going to see you're the common denominator. You're going to see you were part of the problem, because if you weren't, the relationship would have had a chance to work. But because we feel a certain type of way about this, that, and the other, we don't have the discipline sometimes to even stay in a relationship, let alone talk about a marriage.
And it appears to be getting worse, the lack of accountability, the lack, my man Anton Daniels called the victim Olympics. You tend to see it more so now than you did years before. And I think social media and liberal indoctrination has played a role in many of our women becoming saboteurs of their own ignorance, ex-church girl. And, I don't think we exonerate our boys at the level that we exonerate our girls, to the point the boys have no incentive, because you have not been building the ego of the boys and the men. And so by the time the women get in the relationship, they got a grandiose ego. But the man's self-esteem is so deflated, he does one or two things. He becomes a simp, or he just checks out.
Yeah.
Because who's building his ego? Who's making him feel like a man? And, you remember back in the day, ex-church girl, you remember a time when you had love songs like Love Ballad, LTD, and you had the lady to say woman to woman, songs like where the women actually, they honor the men. You remember even with Anita Baker back in the day. Anita Baker said, I apologize, and you are my angel. That's when music was music. I know everybody say the generations are different, but I think the 90s and the early 80s, the 70s, and I'm being biased, but from the 70s to the 90s, that was some of the best times when it came down to music and all. But women now are not saying, I apologize. If you get a woman to say, I apologize now, you got to get an act of Congress, because she ain't going to say, I apologize. What's your take on that?
Well, are you talking to me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So nowadays, I was just thinking about, I was playing Love Ballad over the last weekend, actually. But if a man sings a song like that or brings us something soft now, we're like, oh my God, he's a simp. I'm going to run over him. Because I've had relationships where they let me dictate the relationship. They let me run everything. I did pretty much what I wanted to do. And I ran over him. I ran over him like I ran over him like a Mack truck.
When's your birthday? When's your birthday, ex-church girl?
May 27th. I'm a Gemini.
Oh, you crazy as hell. But go ahead.
So yeah, I'm one of them
No.
flaky women. I used to be real flaky.
Well, no, actually, Geminis are very intellectual. Leos and Geminis do well because y'all are very philosophical and very intellectual. But keep talking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but I was just saying that, you know, nowadays if a man is too want to be all into it, we call him a simp. We say, oh, he's a simp, blah blah. You know, we really don't know what we want sometimes. I think that's what it comes down to. Women just need to figure out what the hell they want and then just figure out, you know, you can't change the definition of a man. A man is going to be a man whether he's singing you a love ballad or whether he's out there cutting the grass or killing a deer to eat tonight. That doesn't change. But we want to say a man, we want to define what a man is. And I think that's part of the problem. We want to say, okay, a man to me is somebody to give me all his money, give me his whole check. No man in his right mind will give a woman his whole check.
Exactly.
Nope.
Exactly. Right. They want a man based on a condition called solipsism. It's always a man as it benefits their fickle nature and their fickle mind. But see, what it is also, ex-church girl, is a sign of a very decadent culture that's led to dysfunction. In other cultures, a man can parade a woman with love and flowers and gifts because they're under patriarchal cultures where the women are taught to respect men. Mm-hmm. But in America, a man being loving and kind and giving her candy and, you know, playing love ballads by LTD and, you know, trying to treat her well, she's been imprinted by Raekwon the Man and Shermite. So she's had so many dusty men that her psyche is used to dusty men. And so when a righteous man come by that's normal and try to give normality into her life, she can't appreciate it because she's been imprinted by dusty men that are dysfunctional. And just like women have been imprinted, so have men. That's why men give their best to dysfunctional, goofy women instead of giving their best to women that are loyal, kind, feminine, and they want to love them. So the culture in America is very dysfunctional. That's why normal is dysfunctional and dysfunctional is normal. And that's the great conundrum that we live in. But me being the man that I am, ain't nowhere in hell. I'm a masculine man. I wish a woman would try to put me on a cat schedule.
Real, for real, for real, for real.
And a Leo too, all that swag I got. I wish you would try to put me on a cat schedule. I'll turn to a ravenous beast. Shit, man, woo! You'll see a side of me you damn never seen before. I wish you would. I'll give us a fire for a mind. Fire.
Yeah, we're talking about right there.
Well, women that want to do that, put a man on a cat schedule, they're doing it. And most of the time, those are probably the better men. Right. So, like you said, Jaquan and Pookie and Ray Ray, they got it the first night. They got the draws the first night.
Mm-hmm.
In the car. He didn't even have to take her to a hotel.
Right. Right. But you said,
got it in the car. She just went to the back seat and did everything he wanted to do.
Right.
But the men, because you've been indoctrinated to say, okay, this man right here, he fine. He got swag. His pants hanging low. Blah blah blah. He doesn't have a belt on his pants. He got swag. And then you just have a wet tail and you get up. But the men, the women that put them men on a schedule, they want to put more value on themselves than they really have.
Right. I totally agree. They want to sell you, the box at a higher price. It's called relationship inflation. Shout out to my man.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
They're beginning to give their love to women that deserve it. They're beginning to give their love to women that are honorable, women that are respectful, women that are not dysfunctional. And one of the things I tell men, ex-church girl, is to go where they're celebrated instead of being tolerated. Men in America really want American black women. Don't get it twisted. They do. But watch this. In the clinical world, we call it choice theory. Dr. William Glasser said that when people have bad behaviors because they're not getting their needs met. And the 5 elements of need or of choice theory were fun, power, freedom, belonging, and survival. Many men don't feel like they have power. Many men in America don't feel like they have some freedom. Many men are not having fun. So if they're not getting their needs met, I tell them, you go where you are celebrated. You go to countries where the women are traditional, where the women have been raised by masculine men that teach the men to love good women. But we reward bad behavior in America. And because of that, relationships are imploding. And so men got to be, or more or less set the template. you can expect these women to change until you change. And like Mr. Palmer from Blank Child Support say, you got to change the laws in your mind. Shout out to that brother. But until men change the laws in their mind, we're going to continue to get the same outcome. And that's why I do what I do as a licensed therapist. It's my job to empower men, to teach men to become the better versions of themselves. Because once they learn and know what their power is, ex-church girl, then I think you're going to see an evolution. Now, I personally don't think we're going to see this evolution in our lifetime. I don't see it in our lifetime, I don't see it. Even Ted the Pendergrass was saying it back in the 70s in his lifetime. I don't see it. But I think when men know what their power is, you're going to see a slow evolution. You're going to see men saying, enough is enough. And many men are beginning to wake up. The Gen Xers are waking up. The millennials are waking up. The Zennials definitely damn waking up. Zennials don't even give a damn about marriage. They ain't getting married. They could care less about marriage. So men are beginning to wake up. Ingram, go ahead, brother. You like you're about to say something. Go ahead.
No. I was just listening to you when you talk about the Zennials. I was just agreeing with you in totality. Right. They don't care because they've seen what their parents have gone through. Many of them have been part of divorced families, and they've seen the situation with the court system and how situation outcomes have worked out, especially for their fathers. And even with the men that are people that are trying to shame young men, it's hard to shame someone when they see the bodies of fallen men float by them on the river of life. Guys that have taken a hit, that have went down, got divorced, raped in the courts, and that are just, there's so many guys that have gone through so much around them that this generation, they're like, hell no. They've come through with the hookup culture. They've come through with the Tinder, the online dating. They've dealt with all of the other stuff in terms of dealing with women and rejection and so on and so forth. And they've also been part of the culture where it's with the online stuff, where it's easier to get access to women for some of them. Especially on these college campuses and so on and so forth. So they're not even thinking about this. They don't even want to be bothered. They don't want the commitment, or they don't want none of the obligations, that come with it.
I'm going to ask you a question real quick, and we're going to sign off. This has been an excellent show, man. I could talk all night, but I got to see some clients tonight. I gotta go spread some Valentine love.
I'm with you. I hear you.
Hey.
But I'm gonna ask you a question, ex-church girl. What does love mean to you? What does it mean to you when it means you giving your love for a man? I don't know if you're in a relationship, if you're married. Are you in a relationship or married?
No, I'm not. I'm divorced. I'm not in a relationship right now.
Right. So what does love mean to you as a woman? And what do you realize that you did wrong that you should have did right in your past relationships? What does love mean to you as a woman? And what do you realize that you did wrong that you should have done right? Because I've heard women say over and over again that it's hard to find men now. And as you get older, it doesn't get easier. But go ahead, sis.
Wow. What I wish I had done in the past, I think I should have learned more about myself first. Mm-hmm. I should have gotten my ish together first before I tried to get into a relationship. I should have gotten myself counseling before I tried to put all my mess on somebody else, trying to make him my everything, trying to make him my BFF, trying to make him my counselor. That's too much for a man to deal with. Trying to put my kids off on a man, that's too much. Mm-hmm. And now that I know, first, for me, love now means that you have to love yourself first. Mm-hmm. Before you can go try to jump out and give some actual love from somebody else, demand it from somebody else. Because that's what it's come down to now. We're not even asking for love anymore. We're kind of demanding love. You can't make nobody do anything. We're all grown. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I would, my take is that I wish I had learned more about myself before I try to put all my issues off on a man, because a man is not there to handle all of that. He can handle a lot of things, but when you start putting, because I had one ex tell me I had too many problems, and he was right. And trying to put my kids off on another man. I had several men tell me before I even got in a relationship with them, they said, I don't want a ready-made family. And I accepted that. But it was hard to accept, but I had to accept it. And when I got married, I wasn't ready to get married. Mm-hmm. I wasn't ready to get married. I wasn't even right with myself. Mm-hmm. I took all my mess, all my issues, all my nonsense, all my fake beliefs, all my Disney love things into a relationship. And that's why it didn't work.
Mhm.
So now I'm more realistic about, first of all, loving on myself, knowing what I need and getting what I need before I go into a relationship. So that relationship can flourish and grow. Not go into a relationship demanding a man pay my bills, not go into a relationship telling the man to pay my car note, give me money, do this, do that, do that. No, he wants peace just like I want peace.
Right.
So this is what love would mean to me now. And it's not going to mean a man buying me a 4-carat diamond ring. It's not going to mean a man buying me a bigger gift than he did this year than he did last year. It's going to mean we mutually respect each other and enjoy being around each other. That's it.
Did you have to evolve to become that woman, or did you always know it?
I had to evolve. It's been a lot of spending a lot of time being in therapy, getting the help I need. Stop trying to act like I had it all together. Stop pretending. The number one thing Black women need to do is to stop pretending. Stop wearing all this weave, to make all this excessive clown makeup, the lashes, the fake nails, and then we saying we want a real man. We're not even real.
You're not even real, right? I totally agree with you 100%.
We're not real.
Do you regret divorcing your husband, ex-church girl? If you can go back in time, do you say, you know what, I should have stayed with that man?
Yeah, I do.
Oh
To be honest, yes, I do.
I appreciate your honesty, sweetie. I really appreciate your honesty. Tell me why you realized you should never divorce him, because you probably were in your feelings when you divorced him. Am I right or wrong?
Of course I was.
Right.
I was in my feelings, and I had a lot of pride when I was younger. I felt like, the days of the men calling me, checking for me would never end. And it is a certain age where you get ladies. If there's a certain age, you don't get the phone calls, you don't get the booty calls, you don't get no calls.
Right.
So, but if you're in a relationship where you can work together and get the help you need, then stay. If he's abusive and crazy and then I understand you have to get out for your own health and protection. But even, just get some help. Don't put it all on the man, because usually the women are the ones filing the divorces. We're the ones doing the crazy stuff. We're the ones emasculating the men and then saying we don't have a good man.
Right. And that goes back to the old concept called death of the man tree. Women see men as disposable goods. They think that men are going to be around forever. They're not going to ever leave them. He's going to be around forever. He ain't going nowhere. But what they don't understand is that, now as time go on, as they get closer to the grave, your beauty is beginning to fade. That's why the gospel said that charm is vain and beauty is fleeting, but who can find a virtuous woman? Most women are not taught to be virtuous women anymore. They don't know what being a virtuous woman is. They see men only as commodities, ex-church girl, to more or less be subjugated to. And men are saying, listen, I'm worth more than that. I'm worth more than that. Like the feminists say, am I a woman? Well, men are saying, am I not a man? Am I not a man? Because men are tired of being invisible. They're tired of giving their worth. They're tired of giving their good. And I know your mom said, she wished she hadn't gotten married, got a divorce. But here's the difference. Women back then were taught to be wives. And even though she stayed with your dad, I don't know if he was abusive or not, she would have got out here on the market like a lot of women do. And they think they can have hot girl summer, thought it up like another lady named Paco that came on the show. And you look you're a younger version. But she said that she had her degrees and thought she could have fun. And she said she's single. And she said she's going to go to the grave alone. She's going to the grave alone. Because, you correct me if I'm wrong, after a certain age, most men still use booty calls anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm trying not to get emotional, but it's sad, young ladies, because...
I'm sorry, dear. I'm sorry. Go ahead, talk to him.
If you get out here, and I've had a lot of good men into my life, and I threw them to the curb. I didn't respect them, and I regret it now, because I'm at this age now where, I have my children and my grandchildren, but I don't have that relationship that I've always wanted. And it's hard, because when you get a certain age, that's it. That's it. Young ladies, listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not an expert, but I'm living this now. There are a lot of good Black men out there. Respect them. Give them their respect. Stop walking around with this ugly look on your face like you don't need a man. You need a man. Because I was one of those women that put my job first. Everything else was first. And that's one of my biggest regrets because I didn't prioritize a relationship. My grandmother, that's the one that was married for 54 years. Even though she didn't want to be married, she stayed in that marriage. She stayed there because she knew that was it. You know, so young ladies, get off these cock carousels. Stop disrespecting men. Stop sleeping around. Get with one man. Respect that man. If you have children with somebody, try to work it out. Men without children don't owe your relationship. Men don't owe us anything. We act like these men owe us something. They don't owe us anything.
That's true.
Respect yourselves enough to know that at some point you're going to get to an age where you don't have anybody. You're going to be alone.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Like, ladies, get to the point where you understand that a man has value. A job will never be able to give you what you need.
Wow, that's powerful, sis. That is so very powerful.
Real talk.
Powerful. It's real, and I appreciate your honesty. I do appreciate your honesty, and that's what men have been saying for the longest. Ex-church girl, Kevin Samuels talked about it. Whether you agree 100% with everything he say or not, it's an ongoing reality where many are going to die alone. And there's a concept called death by proxy, meaning you're, ideally you want a man, your husband, be at your bedside, or you by his bedside as he usher you into the glory world, if you believe in God in heaven. But sadly, many are not going to have a man by proxy. They're going to be by themselves. And some say, well, I don't care, I don't care. Okay, that's fine. We're not talking about the women that don't want husbands. If you want to die alone with your cat and your dog, because they're going to eat you up once you're dead anyway.
Dog food.
Yeah, cat nibbling on your nose and shit. We talking about Jack Frost, but the cat say meow, nibbling on your nose. The cat will be saying nibbling on your nose. And so, and I know it's sad but funny at the same time.
Yeah.
But that's why I respect your transparency and your honesty, because so many women have become saboteurs of their own ignorance. They have been victims of their own ignorance, and they're suffering. Because they always thought that they can get a man from that man tree. They always thought they could pull a man from the man tree because they didn't value men. And you're the second sister. There was an older lady named Paco that was 63, and she was crying. She was saying, my time is up. She said, winter is here for me.
Yeah.
But she thought the same thing, that she can just keep getting men, and they didn't respect men, they didn't value men, because they thought they had that same body when they were in their 20s, when the butts were curvy, the breasts were perky. But over time, that stuff changes. You don't get the same swag, because a lot of times those older men, they got money and status, like Ingram and myself and Black. If they single men, guess what? And y'all guys correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, fellas. Y'all probably looking at younger women. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh man, I'm going overseas.
But not only that, but you're looking at younger women.
Yes,
Am I
sir.
right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
If I was a single man, I would be like, I want me a tenderoni. I'll be singing Bobby Brown, my tenderoni. I want me a tenderoni.
My prerogative, baby.
I want me a tenderoni. That's what I want. I want me a tenderoni. Because I still got that swag as 50. This chocolate skin of mine, my swag is still intact. And so I'll be giving me a tenderoni, man. Something nice and tender. Fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician. But these conversations are real though, ex-church girl. And I'm gonna be doing a series soon called the Gen X Nexus. I want you to be part of it, Ingram, and also some of the other brothers. And we're gonna talk about when things begin to go from bad to worse. And I don't think things going to ever go back to where it was. I think it's going to take generations. I would say it's not going to get better till Christ come back, instead of his kingdom on earth. And I say that being funny, but I really believe that, because I don't see the trajectory returning. It's getting worse, in my opinion. What's your take on that, ex-church girl, and then to Ingram?
Yes, it is getting worse because again, it goes back to everybody wants to what they can get, you know. And again, these young ladies need to realize that at some point, this guy was saying, I listened to some guy, he was saying, it might be the last train that they catch to have a relationship. Like for me, I've been in a career, I've been an LPN for 32 years. I haven't even had a relationship for 32 years. You know what I mean? Like a steady, I can't even. So what has this gotten me? It's gotten me to the point where I'm just sitting here talking about relationships. I'm not in one. So I hope the young ladies, I hope they really listen, you know, and the men, you know, I'm glad that the men are finally stepping up and saying something about what they want. Like, I'm really glad that's getting the conversation started. Like they don't want people overweight. Okay, ladies, get in the gym. I started working out every day since last month. Like that's a thing I do for myself, even though it may be too late for me now, but still the young ladies, how many people I go shopping, it's people in the store bigger than I am and they're younger than I am. Like, I'm glad that the men are finally stepping up and saying, no, we're not taking this anymore. But the women are getting mad and saying, oh, men shouldn't talk to us like that. They're being nasty. They're being cruel. No, they're not. They're telling you, they're giving you the game plan.
Right. They're giving the game plan. You know, they're giving the game plan for free, you know, and, you know, they still, you know, drooling, you know, they drooling like the slow kids, you know, and I'm not trying to be funny where I say nobody got slow kids, but they drooling, you know, and the men are giving them the game. The game was written down. Big time. And they said, this is what we need. And they still, I'm saying, you know, they like, you know, like that damn dog. So which way did he go? Which way did he go? And, you know, men are saying they're tired of it. And I'm going to tell you something else. Men don't expect women to be perfect, but Ingram always said, he called it being vicious and vigorously pounded. Men are like a lot of women's been out here playing around a lot. We understand you're human. We understand you're going to have some fun, but having too much fun, most guys ain't trying to take you serious with no wife. If you've been out here this having too much damn fun. You up here, you know, having fun, and you know, by the time you get him, you've been so damaged for dealing with so many dusted men. Then what do you got to give that man? You ain't got nothing to give him. But you want him to give you his best, but you're not willing to give him your best. And men are saying, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. So we're gonna do a psychic soul train. I got to get off. I got clients to see. I love this. I love your honesty. I'm gonna cut this and make a show from it. I'm gonna say, let the older women teach the younger women, because what you said was transparent, ex-church girl.
Thank you.
And I respect your honesty, dear. But starting with Ingram, the intellectual, the intellectual, I call him the Sandman, because he on this show. The damn miles, we're going 200 miles per hour like a tornado. But Ingram, what did you get from the show, brother? And how was the show beneficial, man? Real quick.
I mean, it's definitely beneficial because it just gives an idea of what's going on in the climate in this country right now. And obviously, it just highlights what men are dealing with and how men view love and relationships, which is because everything I hear is talked about from a woman's perspective. But I think this show just highlights that. And I'm glad ex-church girl, you know, came on and shared her story with us. I mean, that was very enlightening. I mean, there's no way else. I mean, that is real. And I think a lot of women can learn from that.
Right. Black Sailor Veteran, what did you get from this show, brother? How was it beneficial?
Oh man, very. I appreciate you having me on board, and very helpful. And I'd say this: the internet is a bittersweet thing, and this is a sweet part about it, that you're doing this show right here. You know, we're going to get a lot of the nonsense that's out there, but you know, that's part of the course. And hopefully these young men, and hey, ex-church girl, thank you so much for your input. And you see, ladies, we didn't jump on her and beat her up. We respected her point of view. She came off and giving it 100, you know, and that's real talk. Because I would say this too. I say, I maybe think one woman I met down south, I wish I would have stayed with, but I was out there ripping and running. So young men, always solidify who you are within yourself. If you watch the Matrix, the Oracle said, look at the sign above the things. It's know thyself. Once you know thyself, then you can move forward in where you're going. And less little dramas that's going to have to happen there. But I thank you, God, for all three of you here for this show. And it's like I say, the internet's a bittersweet, and this is a sweet part of it, is having a beautiful black woman up here and two handsome brothers up here, and we can chop it up and get down to the real facts about the BS. What's that song? It feels so good when you love somebody and that someone loves you back.
Somebody love you back to the pentagram.
Yeah,
To be loved, right?
There
It
you
feels
go.
good, man. It does feel good, man.
And ladies,
right?
if you find your man on his knees and you find him weak, pick him up. Support him just like you want him to support you. You know, if you see a man on his knees and you just, gonna lyrically give him a tongue lashing, come on. Like I say, are you trying to date a man or a boy? And it depends on how you treat your other. You want to date a woman or a little girl? How are you treating her and how you treat yourself? So know that self-respect, and it's Instagram booty stuff, and let it go. Let it go. Like you say, when you get to my age, 50, you're going to find everything going south anyway. So, this here outlasts all that and all that other stuff. It outlasts that. And you got a warm heart and a beautiful mind, man, God bless you. You're going to hopefully get the man that you deserve, or you're going to get the woman that you deserve. But always know this, though. If you're out there chasing, I always say, live by the sword, die by the sword. Live by the penis, you might die by the penis. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. All right. That's what I'll say. Thank you so much for having me up here, my brother.
Thank you, brother. I love you, Black Seattle veteran, the Ingram experience. Ex-church girl, real quick, sweetie, and I love your tutelage as it relates to the younger women. What did you get from this show? And if you have a son, what's your take on your son traveling abroad to find love? Real quick.
Oh, well, thank you, first of all, for having me again on the show. It was a pleasure being on the panel with you gentlemen. I really appreciate that. And as far as me and traveling abroad to seek love, I would say do it, because if you can't find it here, you have to go where you celebrate it, not tolerate it. And a lot of women are going to get upset about that. But what do we have to offer here? Until we change our way of thinking, they have to go somewhere if they want love. So I'm all for it.
Right. And what did you get from the show? And how did it benefit you, real quick?
I got from the show that it's just a lot of work to do in our community. I'm still seeing that. And I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime. Right. But at least the conversation is, evoking, the thoughts about what we need to do different to bring our community back to one of love and respect for each other.
No doubt. Well, listen, it's been a great one, man. I can't believe this. I got to cut these damn streams, 4-hour streams, man. But that's what happens when you got intellectual people talking like Ingram and Black Seattle veteran. But we're going to sign off. And I love you, ex-church girl. Thank you, dear. Let's stay in contact. I would love to actually talk with you one-on-one and, collaborate and hear more of your story. But I appreciate everything you're trying to do. And we're about to sign off. So I'm going to drop you guys down. And once again, guys, I told you there's